1971 to 1974. Strat-O-Matic Excel Carryover League. Brought to you by the Shrimp Trawler.
Game 523, Tigers at Blue Jays.
Welcome back, baseball fans, the 1971-74 Summer Carryover League. We are in the middle of the postseason tournament, the race for the pennant. We have concluded the first round up to 7 games, and now we're moving to the second round of the tournament. Always an exciting round here. And we begin a series of games of first place squads playing for seeding purposes. Let's just do a quick review before we get into today's matchup to show you that. We have played 7 games to distinguish first and second place in all the divisions, and also 7 games to eliminate a fourth place squad. And so now we're moving into the second round where it's 5 games, up to 5 games, where your first place teams are playing for seeding purposes only, not for elimination. But then you have all your third place teams playing across the division against second place teams. Some very good third place teams can knock out some second place teams. And don't just assume that all the second place teams are going to knock the third place guys out because they're going across divisions. But we're not there yet. We're going to start this group here of the top seeds playing each other. And so you're not going to see any teams be eliminated for the next 4 series. In the American League, it's Toronto and Detroit. These are the number of games over 500 for each team. You see they're only separated by a half a game, so it's a best of 5 to distinguish who's better and who would get a better seed in the playoffs. Then you have Oakland and the White Sox. Oakland's 4 over, Chi Sox 8 over. So the A's would have to beat the White Sox 4 games to 1 to get a better seed, assuming these teams stay where they're at. What we're trying to do here is just make sure we know who's better in all these matchups. A hard challenge of the +3 Cubs against the +12 Braves. That's 4.5, which means the Cubs have to win all 5. That's okay though. I mean, if the Cubs if they win a couple games, they'd only lose 1 and they'd gain in the standings. So this is an opportunity for the Cubs actually to increase their lead. If they go 2-1, 3-1, 4-1, something like that. If they lose game 1 though, and it's 0-1, then they would fall in the standings. That's a bummer. And then Portland and San Francisco separate by half a game as well. Today we're in the American League, and we have the Tigers and the Blue Jays in a game today across the American League North and the American League East. A best of 5 series that opened up in Tiger Stadium, and what a wild thing this thing started out being. Here we go. Game 1. Doyle Alexander, an outstanding, he doesn't pitch on 3 days rest, but he's got a 2.20-something ERA. He's got an excellent card with Baltimore in 72 against Mickey Lolich, the legend. And in the bottom of the first inning, the Tigers are, well, they are. I'm not thinking they're making a statement. They are making a statement. Everybody's getting singles here. Off of their own card, off Alexander's card, singles, dots, single walk, single, ground out. Oh, by the way, 2-run triple by Jim Northrup. They send 12 men to the plate and score 8 times in the first inning off of a stunned Doyle Alexander. Future Detroit Tiger, I think. Anyway, didn't the Blue Jays and the Tigers have a bitter rivalry in the 80s? I'm trying to remember. But anyway, 8 runs in the first inning. Then in the bottom of the second, Gates Brown homer. 9-0, and it looks like the Tigers, who were beating the tar out of the Expos the last time we saw them, are the top dog now. 9-0. So we've been seeing this Cinderella Blue Jay team all year. So what do they have cooked up in the third inning for Mickey Lolich? Oh, just your basic single, walk, a strikeout, then a single, a double, a single, a single, and then a 3-run homer by Yvonne Morel. In a head-scratching moment here, 9 runs in the first 2 innings there, 7 runs in the 3rd inning there, and then, to make it all even more baffling, nothing the rest of the way. That's your game. 9 Tiger runs, 7 Blue Jay runs. We let Alexander and Lolich continue after getting knocked around to save their bullpens, and actually, they pitched deep into the game because Alexander got stronger. Doyle Alexander gave up 1 hit over 7 innings. He retired 20 of 21 batters after this assault. So there's no reason to take him out. And Lolich did a similar thing. We did take him out after 8 innings. Actually, we took we took Alexander out after 7 innings. I didn't want these guys to get complete games after they're getting knocked apart there earlier. John Hiller does get the save in the 9th inning, putting a guy on base with a walk. It is a 9-7 victory for the Tigers, winning Game 1 at home. So let's see Game 2. Game 2, it's going to be Clyde Wright for Toronto, a lefty, versus Tom Timmerman, the number 4 starter for the Tigers. This game, we have a double by Jerry Terrell, a utility player. Grabarkowitz, RBI single, 1-0 Tigers. 5th inning, nice little inning here. Walk, singles by Kaline and Stanley, and Cash, and a walk to Freehan. A bases loaded walk to Bill Freehan. 2 runs, it's 3-0. But of course, Toronto, because it's their year to do the improbable, they come back. Doesn't quite work out. They get 2 singles off Timmerman. They chase him. They bring in the lefty Sherman to face some lefties. He gets up a hit and a walk. They pull him for Steve Keeley. He gives up a hit, but he gets a double play by Agee to end the inning. And George Culver pitches the last 2 innings. Tigers get some insurance at the bottom of the 8th. Final score is 5-2. Funny part about this series is, it's like both teams are doing what they do. The Tigers are on a huge roll, so they're getting a ton of runs. But it's like the Blue Jays never seem to be too perplexed. They never seem to be caught off. When they were down 9-0, they said, well, we need 7 or 8 runs, and they got them. When they were down 3-0, they got a couple runs here. And they're doing it, of course, without any Hall of Famers or many All-Stars even. But, yeah, so you can't count the Blue Jays out. They did just lose 2 straight, however, to the Tigers. Again, most importantly here, this is the last time you can lose a series for these first-place teams. This is mostly, not exhibition, but it's mostly inconsequential to their playoff chances. They're going to get to the playoffs. It's a question of division winner or slide into a wild card. So that's 2 games. The Tigers are up 2-0 with a series going to Toronto for a Game 3. Let's look at the overall standings now, and the Eastern teams are happy. The Yankees and the Orioles just picked up a game as Toronto lost 2. So there's a reasonable chance that the Yankees or the Orioles, should they win their elimination series, which against the Indians and Expos, have a chance to get first place. The Tigers, on the other hand, are now 12 over 500, playing 700 baseball. Obviously, if they beat the Blue Jays, they'd be better than the Blue Jays. So then you have to look over here. The White Sox are 8 over 500, but they don't have a practical chance of getting to 12 over 500 because all they need is 2 wins against Oakland. So the best they could go is 22-12, 10 over, if they sweep the A's 2 straight. A's need to win 4 out of 5. They could go 4-0. They'd still be 8 over 500. So it looks like the Tigers have a very, very good chance of being your number 1 seed unless the Blue Jays win some games. The Blue Jays have to win both games here for the Tigers to perhaps not clinch a number 1 seed in the American League. Which, if you're doing some foreshadowing, you're looking at an Atlanta-Detroit World Series, if you wanted to look at the top records of each league, but we're, of course, way too early for that. So, We are in Toronto for a Game 3 in a up to 5, which is a best of 5. Game 4 would be in Toronto, and then Game 5 back in Detroit if necessary. Today's pitchers for your Tigers, it is Joe Coleman, a 20-game winner, 1971 and 286 innings. For your Toronto Blue Jays, it is Carl Morton, having a pretty nice year. He was actually an Atlanta Brave in 1974, won 16 games. It's funny, I'm just thinking about that year of Atlanta, 1974. Carl Morton winning 16 games with this 5 template. We already know that Buzz Capra and Tom House, the 1 and 2 templates, were picked up by the Braves. Boy, that Atlanta team, I don't know why they didn't. Well, I guess they were playing in the National League West. That might have said a lot. But boy, that team looks talented. At least, yeah. Anyway, I digress. Let's get started. From Toronto, leading off for the Tigers, it's going to be Dick McAuliffe. 48 off of Morton. Single one to 18, and he gets it. Jim Northrup, 65, center C. Al Kaline walks 2 on for Gates Brown, who walks on a 2-7. No load the bases. For Norm Cash, 2-4, center be question mark. We could run McAuliffe here. 13, 14, 15, but you get the -3 arm of AG, so he's going to stay put, and they're going to let Willie Horton swing with the bases loaded. Willie Horton, the all-star for the Tigers this year. 2-7 is a strikeout, and they strand the runners. Bottom of the first, it's Tommy A.G. 45, flies to right. Tim Foley, 47, strikeout. Mike Lum, 2-8, triple 1-2 single, a base hit. Don Clendenon, 3-6. Let's take a look at Don Clendenon's card of 1971. The Mets did not want him anymore. They didn't want AG anymore 2 years ago. That didn't work out for the Mets, in this league at least. 247 with 11 homers in half a season, with most of that power against right-handed pitching right here and right now, and that is a 2-run homer. And the Blue Jays get their first lead of the series. Milt May, 2-5, second. Well, I guess the American League East teams, Orioles and Yankees, are rooting for Detroit. The White Sox and Oakland are rooting for Toronto to kick the Tigers' seating down a little bit. Tom Verizor, 56, flies right. John Stevenson, 110's a single. Billy Grabarkowitz, 44, center X. Center fielder is AG at 2-8. Makes the catch. And with 2 outs, it's Dick McAuliffe. 37 is a K. Bottom half of the second, it is Jim Brazil. 55 off of Coleman, double 1-19, gets it. Dan Monson, 34. Rolls 1 is short, runner holds. Bill Voss, 69, flies into shallow left field. With 2 outs, it'll be Darrell Chaney. 56 off of Coleman. All the damage on the Coleman card this inning. Single to center field. Brazil. 12, 13, 14 against the Northrop Army. He's going to run on the 13, and he scores on the 13. That was close. We'll double check the close one here. Brazil. Yep, 12. Runner. 13, 14 with 2 outs. -1 for Northrop, makes 13, hits the 13, gets the run, close play at the plate, 3-0 Blue Jays. Tommy A.G. 2-11, bounces to second. Louis Jim Northrop leading off in the third. He flies to center field. Al Kaline, 5'11". Pitcher X, Morton, is an E5. It's a good E rating. And Carl Morton, an E5 pitcher, just makes an error. Oh my goodness. That is some bad luck. Gates Brown, 48. Single 1-18, gets it. 2 on for Norm Cash. 2-3 is a fielder's choice. We have runners in the corners with 2 outs. For Willie Horton, here's a who. Willie Horton, 42, flies to center. Not a good day for Willie. He's stranded 5 men in two plate appearances. 3-0 Blue Jays. Bottom half of the third, it's Tim Foley. 47's a K. Mike Lum, 1-7, single 1-6. He lines out. And Don Clendenon, first C. Top of the fourth. Tom Verizor, 2-7 is a single. John Stevenson, 1-8 is a 6, 4-3 double play. Billy Grabarkowitz, 5-10. Off the Morton card, Homer, 1-6, fly ball the rest. That is the rest. Morton, putting some guys on, getting out of it. Bottom of the fourth, Milt May in a 3-0 lead, 2-5. Bounce the second. Jim Brazil, 66, single 1-19, base hit. Dan Monson, 44, short X. And the shortstop is 344 Verizor. That's a single ... Runners on the corners for Bill Voss. And Bill Voss, 2-5 is a 6-4-3 double play. Well, that ruined a nice scoring opportunity for the Blue Jays there. We go to the top of the fifth. Dick McAuliffe, 66, flies to center. Northrop, 58, is a base hit. Al Kaline, 2-7 is a strikeout, and with 2 outs, it is the gates of hell. 57, Gates of Brown bounces to short. We have Foley there as a 2, E29 shortstop. He makes the play. Carl Morton has put men on in every inning and gotten out of it. He's put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 men on. And the Tigers have not scored. Bottom of the fifth. Let's pause a moment for station identification.
This is the Shrimp Trawler video channel.
Este es el canal de videos de camaroneros.
Okay, in the fifth we go. We have Darrell Cheney leading off for the Blue Jays. 39 flies to center. Tommy A.G. 3-6. Let's take a look at the other Met that's been carrying this franchise. Tommy A.G. His 1971 card, 285, 14 home runs. The Mets said, nah, that's okay. And they held on to Cleon Jones and Ed Kranepool and guys like that. And they let A.G. and Clendenon go from that Miracle Met squad. Oh boy. And the Mets are under 500 right now. But 3-6. Homer, 1-18, and oh no, off the top of the wall, stays in the park for a ground rule double. That's a tough break for AG. Missing a homer, 1-18. With 1 out. Oh, I think I'm smelling a gutsy move here. Runner at second, 1 out, plus 1 arm catcher. I'm going to try and steal third base. Why not? I missed the big home run. 12, let me see. I think it needed to be a double A for that to work to steal third. Let me just check my chart here. Single A stealer, oh, it's 10. No, plus 1 arm makes it 11. Right. Double A stealer. There's only a difference of 5% between double A and A stealing third base, according to my chart here. Okay, so it's 10. You got the plus 1 arm, makes it 11. He rolls a 12. So he did get thrown out at third base trying to steal third. It just seemed like Toronto has done everything right this year. And I decided to go to the runner at third with 1 out, and it didn't work after missing the home run opportunity there. So now we have 2 outs. We have a 3-run lead. We can fool around a little bit here. Tim Foley, 48 is a walk. B stealer, plus 1 arm. Let's get in a scoring position with Tim Foley. He steals the base, so he makes it. He's on second for Mike Lum. 1-7 Lum, single 1-6. He gets it. They're on the corners for Clendenon. Boy, Joe Coleman's been kind of rusty today. The pitch to Don Clendenon. 55 off the Coleman card is a single to left field. Blue Jays get a run. Lum, 14, 15, 16 to go to third. Let's go to third. It's a 16. He makes it. So they're on the corners for Milt May. 56. That's a base hit to center field off of Coleman. And it's all falling apart here for the Tigers. First and second, 2 outs for Brazil, who bounces to third. 5-0. They get the runs anyway after the botched stolen base attempt. How do you like that? 5-zip Blue Jays into the 6th. Norm Cash. 110 K. Willie Horton, 1-8 single. Tom Barizer, 1-7K, rolling the ones here. And Stevenson, 2-9. Bounces to third. Carl Morton, 6 shutout innings with men on in every inning. All right, bottom of 6 for Coleman, down 5. It's, he is. Dan Monson, 2-7s along. Bill Voss, 2-2 is a low max, so the runner gets plucked off of first base on the line drive. So now there's 2 outs for Dale Cheney. 63, that's first X. That's Norm Cash, 2-11. And Norm boots the ground ball. Tigers have not done well north of the Canadian border here. Tommy Agee, 3-10. You saw the card, flies to left field. 5-0 game. Can the Blue Jays tighten their defense up even more to help out Mr. Morton? The answer is yeah, a little bit. They can get a better third baseman in there. Let's go put Hallinier at third base instead of Monson. Just to, you know, Brazil DH there. Yeah, just to help Mr. Morton continue his shutout effort. So we go from a 4 third baseman to a 2. Top of the 7th. Tigers down 5. It'll be Billy Grabarkowitz. 2-5. Double and a 4 is a base hit. Dick McAuliffe back up top. 45 pops to third. Jim Northrup, 38, single, 1-18, gets it. Now, 2 on, 5-0 lead. Starter 7, you're about to break him. And, gosh, you only got 1 lefty in the bullpen, Joe Grisenda. I'm looking at Gates Brown on deck and Norm Cash. Yeah. Well, he'll pitch to K-line. First and second one out. The pitch to Al K-line. 35 is a walk, and that didn't work. All right, bases loaded, 1 out, and the guy just broke. Well, down 0-2 in the series. I'm going to bring the closer in here. I might not have him go 3 innings, but he's the lefty, and I want Gates Brown off the team. He can't bat here. 6 1/3 innings. I'm pulling my guy who just broke, hit his point of weakness. I don't want this game to get away. So I'm going to bring the closer in here in the biggest leverage inning at this point. Maybe if he gets out of this inning and we still have a 5-run lead, then we'll get him out of there and give him some rest. It is Joe Grisenda. First appearance in this series. He was a Washington Senator in 1971. 5-2 with a 1.93 ERA in 70 innings. And it's Gates Brown who will exit. You think this is the first broadcast we didn't show you the Gates Brown card, and isn't that a shame for you? So Gates will leave the game with the bases loaded and 1 out, and it'll be Mickey Stanley. Let's take a look at Mickey Stanley. He'll come in. He's usually platoons with Stanley through Willie Horton as a DH outfielder. Stanley will come in for Gates Brown, take over in center field. Northrup will go into left field. Horton will go to DH. Mickey Stanley had a fine year in 71, hitting .292 for the Detroit Tigers. A bunch of guys in their 30s, early 30s, early mid-30s, and they're doing quite well. Aging has not been a problem for this Tiger team. Mickey Stanley, bases loaded, 1 out. From Joe Grisenda, here's the pitch. 1-5 is a fly ball to center B question mark. Just questioning the other pinch hitting. Yeah, Bill Freehan would have hit a grand slam, if you're wondering. But he's a catcher. But anyway, Mickey Stanley, 1-5, is center B question mark, and the runner is Grabarkowitz. Now, you got a -3 arm in center field, so you can't run. So he's going to stay put there, and they're going to go for a grand slam or a 2-run double or a triple or something. Now 5-zip. So he's not tagging up. It's going to be Norm Cash now with the bases loaded and 2 outs off of Grisenda. And here is the pitch. 33 for Cash is a bouncer to first. Grisenda does the job, cools the threat, and again, the Tigers do not score. That is now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 runners stranded in a scoreless effort for Detroit. Stretch time here in Toronto. We are, of course, enjoying Rush's Caress of Steel LP, 1975, just barely out of our timeline, but a very young Geddy Lee of Rush is here in Toronto watching the game. The new team in town in Toronto. And he's watching his Blue Jays with a 5-0 lead in the bottom of the 7th. Joe Coleman will pitch the 7th inning. It'll be Tim Foley. 2-8, double one, base hit. Mike Lum. 3-12 is a strikeout and an injury. They do have some outfield depth. Yvonne Morel will play right field for the injured Lum. Same range, a 2. Defensively, Don Clendenon. 2-7, double one, a 3 is a base hit. And I think that's going to do it for Coleman. He has just been rocky today. He'll go 6 1/3. And they'll bring in a lefty, Fred Sherman, to get Milt May and Brazil out if possible. Fred Sherman with the Tigers. In 71. 11-6, 2.71 ERA, 113 innings. Tigers, they're still going for this #1 seed. They're going to play this like they're trying to get a sweep here and come back with 5 runs in the 8th and 9th inning. So Fred Sherman's coming in with 2 on and 1 out and a face Milt May. 67, May lines the first, and with 2 outs, it's Jim Brazil. 66 pops to short. So both lefties who came in got the men out in the top and bottom half of the inning, and the game stays 5-zip. Now you got Horton, who crushes lefties, and we're going to get Rosenda out of there because we feel confident Elias Sosa, he's sort of a co-closer. Elias Sosa is a nice little pitcher. In 73, he was 10-4, the 3.28 ERA for the Giants. He's going to try and continue this effort. We're pulling Rosenda with a 5-0 lead, giving him some rest so he's available for games 4 and 5. And Horton crushes lefties anyway. And here he is, Willie Horton against Elias Sosa. 2-5, bounce to short. Tom Verizor. 1-7 is a K. John Stevenson, 2-4, bounces to the pitcher. That was easy for Sosa. Sherman will come out after those 2 batters. We'll go to Steve Keeley in the 8th for the Tigers. It'll be Hal Lanier, not very good against righties. 44, center X, but Mickey Stanley's in center field now, a 1-5. That's an out. 1 out. Bill Voss, 67, pops to third. And Darrell Chaney, 53, right X. Right fielder is 2-0, Al Kaline. That's your inning. All right, top of the 9th for Sosa. 5-0 lead. Just to close this thing out, Billy Grabarkowitz, 67, is a single. Dick McAuliffe, 1-4 is a fly ball to right. Jim Northrup, 46, is a fly ball to right as well. And with 2 outs, it's Al Kaline. 2-10, flies to center field. That's your ball game. A very unusual shutout. I think the Tigers put 14 men on base, didn't score. Bizarre game. And the Blue Jays have got themselves a victory in this series. Home teams won every game. It is a 5-0 shutout. We'll look at the stats for these 2 squads. I'll play a game 4 here in Toronto, and then a game 5 if necessary back in Detroit. Rosenda gets a nice hold in the 7th inning, and then Sosa gets give up a hit and a K. Morton does get the win in this bizarre shutout, an 8-hitter, but in 6 1/3 innings hit his point of weakness with 3 walks, 5 strikeouts. That's at least 12, plus there's an error in there, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 base runners for the Tigers. None of them score. You hope that's an anomaly for Detroit, because if that starts happening, that's a virus you don't want to catch. You don't want to catch that left on base virus. That'll just destroy a team. Steve Keeley had a nice 8th inning. Sherman got his guys out. Joe Coleman kind of had a rough day. 12 hits and 5 runs. Bunch of singles in this one. And a home run. All of it was earned. 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. 109, 108, 512, 09, 36, 23, 23, 36. That is game number 3. So, Toronto, you know, they resume their quest of trying to win the American League East. After a setback or two in the first couple games, now they're back trying to get back to being on top of the American League East and possibly, don't think they can clinch it, the American League East. I think the Yankees and Orioles are still too close at this point. If either one of those teams gets super hot and sweeps their opponents. So it means that the Blue Jays are a game and a half behind Detroit right now. Yeah, they're 8 over 500. And the Tigers are going to be 11 over 500. So there's the Blue Jays, 22 and 14, hitting .261 with a 3.45 ERA. Carl Morton won his 7th game. 7-1. Imagine if he was on Atlanta with Tom House and Capra with the way those dudes are playing this year. 21 runs in 66 innings, too. His ERA is below 3. Outstanding work, Carl Morton. Detroit. And they should be 11 over, yeah. They're a game and a half better than the Blue Jays. 21 and 10. Hitting .259, 3.15 ERA. Those are Tigerish numbers. I hope the batting average gets up a little bit. ERA looks pretty good. Nice to see John Hiller and George Culver splitting the saves, 5 apiece. Nice to have 2 guys doing it. By the way, those 2 guys, the game's over if the Tigers get a lead, folks, because Culver and Hiller have given up 1 run in 31 1/3 innings and 10 saves. And the crazy part about it is Hiller has a loss. That 1 run he gave up was a loss. Must have came in a tie game or something. Anyway, we do have Norm Cash with 7 home runs for your Tigers. Willie Horton did go to the All-Star game with a great year. He's 35 for 120 now. So his average has come down a little bit. Oh, to 292. He was in like 350 at the All-Star break. Average came down a little bit. But the Tigers are 21 and 10. And then over again, we'll look at this one more time. Here are your Blue Jays. You see the Yankees and Orioles are still too close for me to clinch anything, or even the division leader. And we still got to play all this stuff out. Even the Tigers, if they lose 2 more games and lose this series, now you've got the Indians and the Expos in striking distance. So, you know, the Tigers, they're right in the middle of either going for the number 1 seed or potentially falling to 2nd place, depending on how the next couple games go. White Sox still have hope for a top 1 or 2 seed. So, yeah, that's where we currently are. I'll give you the results of Game 4 in Toronto. The matchup for Game 4, it's going to be a good one. It's going to be Mickey Lolich versus Jerry Royce, battle of lefties. And we'll have that game. We'll give you the result at the end of this video. Thanks for checking this out. We'll see you next time. All right, baseball fans, here's the box score from the game you just saw. The Blue Jays winning a Game 3 at home by a score of 5-0. So what do we have in store for our Game 4? And it was another really interesting game with some interesting, odd things happening. And Toronto gives you an entertainment day in and day out. Game 4, Mickey Lolich versus Jerry Royce. Tigers strike early. 2-out single by Horton, 1-0. And then a solo shot by Horton, 2-0. Now, this is what Toronto gets. In the bottom of the 4th inning, fly ball to reliable Jim Northrup, plays it into a double. After 2 outs, ground ball to Norm Cash, plays it into a single. That's your Toronto Cinderella story, folks. Cinderella men. You know, Northrup's a 2, Cash is a 2. It's unreal. Then in the 6th inning, Toronto gets a homer by Milt May. It's 2-2 tie. Now, a fascinating 7th inning here. Fly ball to Mickey Stanley, who's a 1 in center field. A 1E5, 2E8. I don't know what it is playing Toronto, but teams just get shaky or jittery or what something weird happens. So you have the leadoff guy at second, off of outstanding Tiger defense, all of this. Mons and singles. You have runners on the corners. Mickey Lolich, they play the infield up. Mickey Lolich gets a comebacker, gets the guy out at the plate. So now you got first and second, and then he gets a Carl Taylor double play. That's what a veteran can do, like Mickey Lolich. So it stays 2-2 into extra innings. Actually, we need to go to the ninth here, or is it the was it the 8th or 9th inning? In any event, they pulled Jerry Royce after 7 2/3. That's what it was, 7 2/3. So he needed one more out in the 8th inning. Mickey Stanley was the batter with first and second and 2 outs. They pulled Royce to try and get Mickey Stanley out with a right-hander, Phil Hennigan, which invites the invitation to Detroit. Do you want to bring in Gates Brown? You lose your center fielder. And they're like, heck yeah, we want to bring in Gates Brown. Well, Hennigan gets him out. So it was a win for the Blue Jays, which means that Mickey Stanley's out of the game now. They have no center fielder. They have Northrop in center, and they have Willie Horton as a 4 and left. That comes in later, interestingly. This thing goes extra innings. Toronto elects to use Grisenda full tilt today, figuring that he won't be available in Game 5 if there's a Game 5. And then in this 3-inning appearance, Gates Brown bats against the lefty with nothing on his card. He bats, gets out, for the slim chance that he'll bat again against a righty because there's no other lefties in the Toronto bullpen. So it's a highly unlikely chance, but boy, does it play out. While this is happening, Mickey Lolich goes 10 innings. He's a starter 9. So Lolich's final line is 10 innings, 6 hits, and 2 runs. This game goes 13 innings. And guess what happens, folks? We get a righty in there, Elias Sosa. And now the situation is, in the 13th inning, you strike out Verizon, McAuliffe singles, Grabarkowitz doubles, Al Kaline strikes out. So you have second and third. You got a base open, and Gates Brown's still in there, folks. So now he's against a righty. And this time Toronto says, oh boy, how am I going to get Gates Brown out? You know what? We're going to intentionally walk him. So with a base open, they intentionally walk Gates Brown, who had 3 plate appearances in this game, in the late innings. Bases loaded, 2 outs, top of the 13th. They walk Willie Horton. So back-to-back walks. The first one was intentional because they wanted to face the righty Horton with the righty Sosa versus Gates Brown. And that gives the Tigers a 3-2 lead. But then guess what happens after that? Norm Cash, grand slam, takes the air out of the Toronto balloon. Finally. This is how hard it is to beat the Blue Jays. I mean, it's like playing chess against these guys. I mean, you gotta know your Sicilian defense and the Nidor variation and everything. But my goodness, folks. 7-2, an easy bottom of the 13th. The Tigers do indeed win this game without it being a tremendously difficult situation. Toronto, they are a tough out, folks. I don't know how this 20-man collection of players became such a tough group, and we've seen other major league teams not much more talented already be eliminated this year, like the Cincinnati Reds, like the Dodgers, like the Red Sox. They're all done. Toronto's just, we'll keep going. We're still in first place. And yeah, so speaking of that, let's look at the overall standings now, as the Tigers do indeed win this series 3-1. By winning this series 3-1, here are your Tigers are 12 over 500 playing 687 ball. Can they be caught 12 over 500? These guys can't catch them. The 2.5, if they get a 3-game sweep, if the Indians get a 3-game sweep, they still can't catch them. That'd be 10 over 500. They can't catch them. If the White Sox catch them, they can't quite catch them either, because they play Oakland and they can only win 2 straight. So yeah, I guess the Tigers, they won 3 out of 4, and they were the #1 seed going in. So it looks like the Tigers have clinched everything at this point with that victory. The #1 seed in the American League, and they've done it by beating up this Expo team and beating up the Blue Jay team a little bit. questionable franchises, but great records for these franchises who are having great years. 6 out of 7 versus the Expos, and now they've won 9 of 13. 9-4. 9-4 run for the Tigers here against some pretty good baseball clubs. And that's where we're looking next. We'll look and see if the White Sox can creep into a number 2 seed now, because they're 8 over 500 now. And now the Blue Jays are 7-6. So it looks like the White Sox have an excellent opportunity. They can thank Detroit. They have an excellent opportunity to get into a 2 seed if they can get rid of the Oakland A's in 2 games. Actually, if they split 4 games with Oakland and stay +8, they're probably still a favorite to get the 2 seed. So, and that with a 1 and 2 seed, you get a bye. You don't play in the wild card round. So there is that. Great series. Good baseball from first place clubs. Congratulations, Tigers. You're on a roll, beating the Blue Jays 3-1. Thanks for checking this out. We'll see you next time.